is. I am so intrigued by Danielle in Louisiana that I have to take them. Danielle, you're live with Eric and Phil. How are you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are y'all doing?
And now we are blessed and highly favored for you calling.
I'm caffeinated.
Actually, I just want to give you a little backstory. I work in construction, and my friend BJ is an atheist. So I need to do a shout-out and say hi to BJ.
Hi, BJ.
I don't think we allow that, do we?
Congrats to him and his girl, Savannah, for having a baby boy this week.
Congratulations.
A little miracle.
And he asked me to call. He told me, he said, I should call in and talk to you because you like talking to flat earthers and Christians, and I'm both. So.
Oh, Danielle.
At least I will give her credit. The Bible does insinuate that the earth is flat.
Let's see what Danielle thinks.
40-plus verses.
And held up by pillars.
So Danielle, can I ask you a couple starting questions here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that your Christian belief backs up your flat earth belief?
Yes.
Okay. How do we know that you're not a Poe?
A what?
A Poe.
A Poe?
How do we know you're not pretending to believe these things?
Yeah, because what I would hate to do is waste our time and everyone's watching's time by having somebody who's pretending this kind of thing.
You can check my Facebook out if you'd like. Well, actually, it doesn't really say flat earth on there. That's one of my nicknames at work. I embrace it fully.
Okay.
I don't have a reason to lie to you about it. I'm not going to waste your time about it because I truly believe this stuff and don't mind talking about it.
I think in the spirit of charitable listening, we're going to listen to you and we're going to accept that that's actually what you think. So Danielle, when it gets to this level of, okay.
And I can laugh about it, and I'll let you know that, I don't take offense. Sure. So
good.
You want,
so our view here is people deserve respect. Ideas do not necessarily deserve respect. We can laugh at ideas all we want. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. So when I'm looking at flat Earth and I'm looking at this biblical view, there has to be a lot of conspiracy in your worldview, at least the way I understand it, for that to exist. Is that the case? Do you think that there are concerted efforts to hide the truth from the general public? Walk me through that just a little bit.
Yes and no. I'm probably one of the rarest flat earthers you'll ever meet because I am you'll meet a lot of us that do have a biblical perspective, but I believe God is in control and that he has a timeline. So I don't believe all the conspiracies are truly, that Satan has the complete power. Because there are some conspiracies that are out there that I'm yeah, God's got it. I just walk back, but I do believe 9/11's an inside job. I believe.
I was going to say, if you say 9/11's a conspiracy, I would agree. 19 Saudis conspired.
Conspiracy to hide truth. I believe vaccines cause autism, and
that's dangerous.
I'm an anti-vaxxer.
Gosh, Danielle, you are just like my entire bingo card filled out.
Did we go to the moon, Danielle?
No, we did not. We didn't go to the moon. Space is fake. You can't go outside the dome.
I'm so happy right now. Okay.
I'm sorry. We were having a little moment.
I can make you happy.
No. We were having a moment. You said something about the moon. Did you say we can't go into space?
No, we can't go into outer space.
Because you bump the top.
Okay. Where does outer space start?
I believe we live in an enclosed system. A dome is over us, and that the moon and sun is inside the firmament. Because I'm a Bible believer, and in Genesis chapter 1.
How far from the ocean, from ocean level, sea level we call it, how far up is the firmament?
I don't have that answer. I'm sorry. I'll tell you straight up, I don't have all the answers to give you, and I wish I did.
I appreciate you saying I don't know.
I'm still researching.
Well, I hope that you research a ton. I've been researching for 2 years. Let's start with the most dangerous, because I think that should probably be addressed, and then move on to less dangerous, right? So let's start with anti-vax.
I would have started with Christianity.
You know what? So here's the thing. I've worked in special ed for years.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I've met parents who have autistic children who are wonderful, amazing, incredible kids that I absolutely adore, and wonderful parents. And I sat down and I've talked to a parent who personally felt like they were responsible for
That's a horrible feeling.
giving their child autism. What it did is it created this personal ownership of a disability, and at the level that I was taking care of kids, it was.
Yeah.
Not always, but at this level of the spectrum, it was. And I think it's incredibly, incredibly sad and also very dangerous because there are a lot of kids who can't be vaccinated. And so my question for you is, what taught you that? How did you come to believe that, number one, vaccines cause autism?
Well, like you, I have a lot of friends. I've worked in children's ministry. I've worked with special needs kids myself.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a variety of jobs I've done in my past is what I was going to say. But I have a lot of friends who also have kids who are autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I can name two off the top of my head right now that I'm thinking of. And they will tell you that their child didn't become autistic until after receiving the vaccine. Neither one of those parents take the blame. Our government, I believe, lies to us.
We will get there. We will get there. Hold on.
Okay.
So you do recognize that when it comes to being tested, there are several places along human development that testing for something like that is not viable until a certain age, right? That how did you determine that being tested for and diagnosed with autism was not coincidental? How did you draw a causal link?
How would I draw? Well, this again, it's not my experience. This is the parents who have told me personal. This is their testimony to me. 100%.
I understand it, and I actually, Danielle, I believe that they probably believe it. Do you know what the miracle mineral solution is?
What?
It's a small amount of bleach that there are groups that will sell you a small amount of a very powerful bleach for you to drink or put in your butt. I wish I was joking. I am not. There are people who actually put industrial bleach in their children's butts. I think it's child abuse. And I also think that,
agree.
And I also think that they truly believe that what they're doing is healthy and helpful for their children. Just because somebody thinks and cares very much about it, just because somebody has very strong feelings, does not mean that it's true. So whether or not they believe, I don't care. I'm asking you how you saw a causal link that convinced you, because, I mean, I'm sure you recognize that there are mountains of evidence to the contrary.
Well, everything I've been researching, like when I get to like the ingredients of what is inside of it, and then when I look at statistics and I see stuff like I'm reading stuff like 1983, 2008, and 2013 that shows they were giving kids 10 vaccines given to U.S. babies, and autism rate jumped from 1 to 10,000. Then in 2008, it went from 36 vaccines given to the babies.
Now,
the autism rate went from 1 to 150.
Now, did you track, Danielle, did you track? Hold on. No. I'm asking you if you understand that the way that we diagnose autism changed at those times as well.
No, that I did not.
I've got to
say that I did not. But,
you should actually check, because undiagnosed autism that has been diagnosed at that time, that's like saying that when divorce was really made an option, earlier in U.S. history, it was about 60 years ago, something like that, that there were incredibly high rates of divorce. And it wound up evening out. It wasn't because divorce made people want to get divorced. It meant that a lot of people who were in unhappy marriages were able to now get divorced. You see the same thing with abortion. Right? You have a whole lot of people who now were empowered to do something that they hadn't been able to do before. When you have and open up a new ability, when you open up a new door and you're able to explore and go, hey, you know what? Here's another option. those numbers are going to go up. But that doesn't mean that that is a causal link. It could be a correlation.
And I have an example or a thought process, a little game we can play, if that's all right with you, Danielle.
Yeah, I'll play.
I have learned that a town, a city, the more churches a city has, the more bars that it has. What about churches causes people to go drink more? Do you know the answer?
It depends on the doctrine that's being preached. If you're going, I believe churches, this is a whole other topic, but like religion produces sin. A relationship does not. So you can go to church all you want.
Sure. Now,
if you don't have a relationship, you're going to produce sin.
I love that you had an answer, and that's great. What I wanted to get to was that I created a situation where I made it seem like there's a connection that more churches cause more bars, which is a causal relationship. Now, it could be that there's a correlation where some other third factor. As an example, a bigger city has more churches and a bigger city has more bars. So churches don't cause bars and bars don't cause people to go to church. A larger population creates a situation where there's more churches and more bars. So the count of churches and the count of bars are correlated, but one does not cause the other. So even if children getting vaccinations near that same time then get autism, there could be a third thing unrelated to the two things that you're talking about.
Okay. Can I just interrupt just 1 second? Sorry.
Sure.
But what about the warning that tells you that people literally is a side effect autism, and people are winning cases against vaccines?
No.
Big pharma.
Hold on.
I'm not aware of any warning produced by an official body or a medical body that says vaccines cause autism. I am aware of over 200 studies that have shown that there is no correlation. And even if there was a correlation, and I'm going out on the edge here, even if there was a correlation, I would rather have a child with autism than a child die from a preventable disease.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, hold on a second. That should have been filled with some applause. Come on, studio audience. What the fuck is that? Okay, sorry. So, Danielle, the reason why I wanted to bring that one up in particular is because it has a special place in my heart, and I think it is particularly heinous and evil. It's definitely something that I think you need to have a whole lot more than, well, I think I saw a correlation. I talked to some friends.
Well,
talk to doctors. Go to a university.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off again, but
no, go ahead.
I just gave you one answer. I have actually looked up the ingredients and broke them down. I don't have it off the top of my head.
And it's true.
I take a lot of information in, and I probably should have prepared that argument.
No, that's okay.
I didn't realize we were going to be talking about vaccines.
Sure. It's a high-pressure situation, so, we don't expect... I always assume...
I have done a lot more research than just
Sure.
those two people.
I always assume that people start with their best evidence, and maybe you made a mistake and didn't start with your best evidence. I understand that.
And I also specifically said we should start here.
Yeah, and it wasn't even in the intro from the screener, so we're going into something that you consider very seriously and you weren't prepared for, and that's okay, so we'll take our time.
Right.
But it's one of those things that if you found this topic interesting, can you go and talk to some medical professionals? Can you find a way to get actual research journal articles? And I'm not talking about going on the internet and just looking for a site that says vaccines cause autism, because one can do that. One can go and find websites that say the earth is hollow. One can go to websites that say the earth is filled with water. One can find all kinds of things. And one of the problems I have with the internet is that you can find anything on the internet, which is good. The bad thing is you can find anything on the internet. And
Correct.
Based on some of the things that you're talking about, you are finding some of those things. And maybe you're getting information from the wrong sources.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've talked to doctors. I was in the medical field in the I mean, I was around doctors all the time and listened to them talk. And
do you think that
just from what I've read from, like I said, my own reading that I've done,
Danielle?
I don't have kids, so I'm not like...
Sure.
And then...
You're
like,
not putting kids in danger.
It's just my belief on it. But like I said, I'm not like... This isn't my topic of passion, I guess,
sure.
what I say, to pursue and like talk about with people.
I think you actually hit on something that I think is really, really important here. And I see it in the chat as well. And Phil, you said it perfectly. It's an epistemic issue. There is a tool that you're bringing out. There are several tools that you're probably bringing out when you're evaluating things about the world. And we want to know if those tools that you're using are reliable. And so when we bring things up and it's to add question or to give a different perspective, what we're trying to do is get you to go, hey, you know what? How can I tell this thing that I think is true from this thing that I think is bogus? Phil's examples of the earth filled with water is one of them, or the earth being hollow is another, right? How do you determine those differences? And there's another that I really want to add in, and that is that you said you worked side by side with doctors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've gotten to know people in the medical field.
Absolutely. I've worked in the medical field my life, pretty much.
What kind of people work there?
Compassionate people.
Yeah? Do you think if somebody spends their life or dedicates their life to becoming a doctor, does so to help people?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah. So where's the grand conspiracy, Danielle?
I believe it starts in the colleges. The indoctrination there is where and you can go to 10 different doctors and you're going to get 10 different opinions, you know.
Well, generally they
do being around them.
If I break my arm, I could get 10 different opinions on my broken arm. They'll still say I broke my arm, right? It's all pretty well subsetted out, though. That doesn't mean that they're all invalid. So you said it's at the colleges. Okay, so you think that there are good people working in medicine, bad stuff in universities. Okay. So what do these universities have to gain, and what's the grand scheme? Do you think there's some deep cabal? How many people are in on it? Are there mole people or lizard people? Help me here. What do we got?
Well, no. See, this is where my faith, I guess, will come in for you. When I look at everything as a whole and step back and look at big picture, I look at God and I see, like your first caller was talking about sin and he was talking about it being genetic and everything. And I was like, okay, dude, but that's not even what the Bible says. It talks about that we only know that we are sinners because the law came. And the universities, though, are preaching and teaching it. They don't teach God. They're teaching away from him. And so when you remove him...
Teaching away from him?
Yeah, like they don't... A lot of the professors claim to be... There's a majority of them that are atheists. They're non-believers, or they don't... they ascribe to psychology, and I'm not judging. I'm just...
Whoa!
We've got a lot to unpack.
I'm not saying all. Didn't say all. I said there are majority.
No. The problem was you said psychology.
Are you against psychology?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at this point.
I need you in my life, Danielle. We can start a show together. Okay.
Let's do it.
So another big point, and that is that if you do need help, get help. There are professionals who dedicate their lives, just like doctors do. And I definitely think that being for psychology is very, very important. I also think that someone's religiosity does not necessarily have any bearing on whether or not they are qualified to teach. I would rather have a Muslim teacher teach me algebra who can do so than a Christian teacher who's not as good. I would rather have a Baha'i teach me science than somebody who is atheist who has no idea what they're talking about. When it comes to those specific things, it has nothing to do with their religiosity. It sounds like you're discounting people because they're not Christian. Is that what's
No,
going on?
I'm not discounting people. I don't discount anyone, but I believe that everything should be done with God involved.
Why?
Think it should come from why? Because that's my belief. I believe from everything he's taught me and showed me. When I have a problem, I go to him and he shows me how to solve it.
Really? How do you know it's not? How do you know it's not Allah? How do you know it's not Vishnu? How do you know it's not actually me being the God who's? I've been taking care of you.
I know
I've been sending you messages. No, I haven't been sending.
He's redeemed me. It's because he doesn't reveal himself as Allah to me. He doesn't reveal himself as.
You mentioned the word relationship.
Correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm always confused by this because I think you're using the word relationship in a way different than a lot of people. If I say that I have a relationship with Eric and someone says, can I show you Eric? Well, here he is. Can I talk to Eric? Can you talk to Eric? And you can. And so I have a way to confirm, to show people. I have a way of interacting with Eric that other people can observe. And so usually when someone tells me they have a relationship with God and or Jesus and or the Holy Spirit, depending on which doctrine you believe, whenever I ask for a way for you to show me that you actually have a relationship, people are not able to do that. Is there some way that you can show me evidence of an entity that you have a relationship with?
The fact that I'm sitting here talking to you is physical evidence. I mean,
I think we have a different understanding of the word evidence now. Because we had a previous caller that said they were Christian, and you disagreed with them. So your interpretation of some stuff in the Bible is different than their interpretation. And there's several thousand different forms of Christianity in the United States. How are they all getting it wrong, and you have the right answers?
Right. Well, I believe you use, when studying the Word of God or studying any historical document, if you believe Plato existed, it's only because you've read, Socrates existed, then it's because you've read Plato's historical documents, and it's because you've read Aristotle's writings on it.
And I think if we look at Socrates, I like this line of thought. If we're talking about Socrates, we maybe could have a discussion whether Socrates did or didn't exist. I don't have a relationship with him. So when I ask you for evidence of your relationship, you bring up Socrates. You completely dodged the question.
Can I let me finish my thought, please?
Okay.
I'm not trying to be rude, but...
No, it's all good. We misunderstand each other and we fix it.
I just need to complete my thought. And so the evidence is that people's lives have been physically changed. I have physically had my life changed. You're talking to someone who was in an emotional despair, couldn't come about, couldn't have a relationship with anybody in my family, couldn't hold down a job.
Well, I have
because I was sexually assaulted, and it wasn't psychology, it wasn't counseling that fixed it, it was Jesus.
I have no reason to doubt anything that you're saying that your life has changed. How do you know that God changed it, and how can you provide me evidence of that? Because all you did was make more claims. You claim you have a relationship. You claim that your life changed, and I accept that your life changed.
And we're glad your life changed. We're glad that you're able to have relationships.
How do you know that
people?
God did it and not Satan did it?
Or you?
Not Satan. Because I know his voice. I'm his child.
You know God's voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
The word says that I would know his voice, and I do.
Sure. So you talk to God.
Faith is believing the things unseen. Sometimes you just have to believe the unseen.
That's a terrible way to believe things.
I think so too. I mean, like the wind, though, I can't see the wind, but I can feel it.
Yeah, and you can also measure it.
You can feel God's presence.
No, you can't, Danielle. So I've got to draw a line somewhere. And I think that where I'm...
So you're telling me I can't be baptized in the Holy Spirit because I speak in other tongues, and it's not my tongues. It's not made up.
Can you do it now?
Speaking in... Sure. I mean, I don't do it for show. It's for worship, but
That's fine. You're talking to two atheists.
If I'm praying, it's a prayer language. I'd have to pray, and
Okay. Well, so
as go into it because it's part of my prayer language. I mean,
sure. No worries. As delightful as that is, I think I have one other question, and that is, you said you were in the Navy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how to read maps and where did you go? Where did you travel? Did you do a lot of traveling, Danielle?
Yeah, but I guess I should qualify. I was never on a ship, but I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and I was in Maryland, Indian Head, Maryland, with a chemical, biological incident response force. So I traveled to Canada, been to Indiana, been all over the United States training. Mm-hmm. And
Did you ever fly in a plane?
I lived in Okinawa. I've been to Africa. I've been to Honduras. Those on mission trips.
That's awesome.
I've traveled quite a bit.
You had to fly there, right?
Yes, I flew to Bo.
Okay. So where's the wall? At what
the
point
wall is below the 60-degree line.
No, I mean
60 degrees south?
Yeah.
Do you think South America exists?
Longitude and latitude, so I'm sorry about
Danielle, do you think that South America exists?
Yes.
Do you think that Australia exists?
Yes.
Does Antarctica exist?
Yes, but it's the ice wall that circles our Earth.
And you think that ice wall is at minus 60-degree latitude south or something like that?
It's below that, actually. You can't go below the 60-degree. I can't think. I'm trying to think if it's longitude or latitude. The Antarctica Treaty.
Latitude is, I always think of it as a ladder. And those are the ones that are horizontal. So you're saying if you start from somewhere in the United States and go south to the equator, and then you keep going somewhere farther south than 60 degrees south latitude, you think there is an ice wall that prevents us from going any further.
And she said something about a treaty. What's the treaty?
The Antarctica Treaty.
What's the Antarctica Treaty?
It was signed in the 1959, if I'm not mistaken, by like 12 countries to start out. It was United States, Korea, Germany, and a few others. And they signed the treaty
right in the middle
that no
of
one
World
would
War
go
II,
there and
actually.
use Antarctica for. They could never claim it. No one could claim it, basically.
And you bring this up, I'm assuming, because you think this is evidence that all the governments of the world know there's a wall and they want to prevent you from going there?
Correct.
Are there White Walkers on the other side?
They had a Russian explorer be met with deadly force.
Sure. So when you get to the wall, how high is it?
According to Admiral Byrd from 1950s, 200 feet, Operation High Jump.
Okay.
What's on the other side?
Thank you.
I want to know.
If you had a 200-foot ladder and you climbed up the ladder and you got to the top of the wall, what's on the other side?
Well, you'd hit the dome.
You hit the dome. So the dome, what was that, Truman Show?
Yeah.
So the dome,
basically,
the dome rises up from the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just like the Truman Show. Danielle, so we have other calls that we need to take. This has been delightful. I'm going to pop you back on hold because I want to get some more of your information. But if I don't see you for the rest of the day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I see what you did there. Yeah, that was... I was getting at the point where I wasn't sure that we weren't being trolled, but...
Honestly... I've met people like that.
No, and I know it's possible. I mean, I've actually met people in person that are flat earthers, and there's a whole Bible, a whole script. There's a whole package of information that they're presented, and one of the things that I think maybe Danielle is a victim of, assuming that she's speaking truthfully, and I think that's where I'm going to start, that she is seeking out information that reinforces the idea.
Absolutely.
Because if the Earth is flat, then the whole moon, the sun, satellites, I mean, you got to start creating an alternate world explanation for everything that we have.
But Phil, that's the part that I love.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated by it. Just like I'm fascinated to talk to people that are religious because in my head, it's so trivially easy to show that it's not real that when I talk to people who are sincere believers, and I don't doubt that they're sincere believers, I am fascinated by the fact that they are believers.
Well, it's the same reason why I love the Star Wars universe or the Harry Potter universe.
Star Trek.
No, Star Wars. Star Trek is fine. I've been getting exposed to more Star Trek, and it's been. But I'm still a bigger Star Wars fan at the moment. Sorry, I'm making eye contact. Anyway.
You can't beat the Borg. That's just
Space
genius.
Wizards.
Maybe the only, no, you know what? I know how you can beat the Borg. Weeping angels.
Space Wizards. Okay. No, we'll talk. Anyway, I want to live in that universe. I want to know. I want to explore. I want to see what else is there. How does the grand conspiracy work?
Yeah,
and if George Soros is paying us all off, how come I haven't gotten my goddamn check?
What's this we stuff?
Yeah, we're talking after the show. All right. In the meantime, who would you like to talk to?